Hi friends, welcome back to my channel, and today we are going to discuss the next installment of the Betsy Tacy read-along of 2019. And that means that this month we read Betsy and the Great World. And this is a grown-up novel for Betsy. She is now 21 years old when the book begins, and she has had 2 years of college rather unsuccessfully. She is now trying to convince her father to let her leave college and travel, hence the Great World. And as you can imagine, Mr. Ray decides that that would be a good idea because Betsy wants to be a writer, and he and his wife can see that Betsy is just not the same girl as she used to be. And this also is partly because in the first few chapters of the book, we find out that she and Joe have broken up. And Joe has moved away to Boston, and they've had a fight, and they are no longer communicating. So when I first read that, I was rather upset with Betsy because as usually seems to happen in the Betsy Tacy books, Betsy was rather dumb with her relationships and caused Joe to question her affection for him. So when I first read this, I messaged Kelly from Books I'm Not Reading, one of the hosts, and I said, why does Betsy keep messing up her relationship with Joe? Geez, I can't take it anymore. And yeah, it's just, and then the whole book was basically Betsy trying to move on from Joe. And she does this by going off to Europe. The book itself was not my favorite. It was rather slow moving, and I love to travel, and hearing about all these places was really interesting. But there was not a real plot, I didn't feel like, in this. It kind of harkened back to the first books of the Betsy Tacy series, the elementary books, where it was a series of vignettes about Betsy's life and just the different countries she went to, the different people that she met, and pretty much the only overarching theme was that she was still harboring feelings for Joe. In every country she went to, she thought about him. The different men she met didn't live up to the standard that Joe had set for her. And she was lonely the entire time. She was enjoying herself, but there was always this underlying current of loneliness. And while that was interesting, and I did sympathize with Betsy, sometimes there's just one person that, just you can't get out of your head. And so I did sympathize with Betsy, and I got that part, and I liked that she couldn't get Joe out of her head, because that gives me hope for the last book in the series. But yeah, it was just a mishmash of people. Nobody ever stayed, really. She would think about them in other countries that she was in, but there was no, one friend that stuck around for the entire book. So that, kind of like Kate said in her video, Kate Howe, she said that she really missed the relationship between Betsy, Tacy, Tib, and the rest of the Deep Valley characters, because no one else was around for this novel. And I completely agree. I think I may have been able to get past that if somebody had gone with her, if Tacy or Tib had gone with her, but of course they have their own lives now. But just having absolutely nobody around that was the same throughout the whole thing was a little bit of a letdown for me. But that being said, there were a couple of fun parts that I thought that I would share with you. The one that I laughed about, and I took a picture of this and sent it to Kelly on Voxer, was the chapter entitled Betsy Takes a Bath. And there is a rather weird picture of Betsy, I'm assuming naked, in a bathtub. And I just thought, that's awkward. And I mean, that's not revealing really in any way, but it's not like she's covered up to here in bubbles. I mean, you can clearly see her body. So it was just like, huh, that's different. So, and that was a funny chapter. I did enjoy that because it's Europe, and that's the early 1900s, so their bathroom situation was not really to the standard that Betsy was used to by that point, and she was having a hard time trying to find a bathtub in which to take a relaxing bath. And I can see where that would be rather a sad thing, because I enjoy a good bubble bath when I am tired at the end of the day. And I can imagine spending, however many months she was in Europe, never taking a relaxing bubble bath would be really sad. And then just throughout the rest of the book, there were just little funny characters and vignettes of her different friends that she met. She went on a cruise, and that was really enjoyable. She met a lot of fun, interesting, aristocratic characters and sailors and all kinds of strange people. The one thing that I did really like about this book that is that even though Joe was a constant thought in Betsy's mind, this seemed like it was the first book where Betsy was not boy crazy. She was not constantly looking for a man to replace Joe. And that to me was indicative of the fact that she really believed that Joe was her man. Like, she did not want anybody else at that point. And I think, when we lose somebody, we realize how much that they actually meant to us. And I think that was a theme that we realized throughout this book, is that Betsy really had no interest in finding a replacement for Joe. There were men, and one in particular that she really did care about, but when she thought about spending her life with anybody but Joe, it just completely paralyzed her. And I liked that, because we have seen throughout the rest of the books that Betsy is really boy crazy for most of the novels in this series. And to show her maturing in that way, where she's off in Europe by herself and she's concentrating on just living a life, even if it's by herself. And yes, she's lonely, but she's able to find friends and just make do, and realize that, hey, I'm here. I don't have anybody else to fall back on. I have to be independent. That's the part that I liked about this book. I didn't like that she was lonely, of course, but it showed Betsy as a proper adult, I feel like, for the first time in this series. So while I did like this book, it was definitely not my favorite, but the ending of the book gave me hope that I will like the final book in the series, which is called Betsy's Wedding. So I assume that I know what's coming, and that makes me very happy. So I hope that if you are joining us in the Betsy Tacy read-along, that you are enjoying all the books. And let me know in the comments what you thought of Betsy and the Great World, if you really liked it, or if you felt like it fell kind of flat for you, like it did me. All right, friends. Thanks. Bye.